A couple months ago, I posted a video titled Best Lotion Emulsifiers for Beginners. And in that video, I mentioned that the best emulsifier for beginners who are also on a budget is Btms 50. I'm gonna show you guys exactly why that is, explain to you all the different things you can make with it, and share with you 4 different recipes. This is going to be a long one, so keep in mind that you can skip ahead to any part of the video whenever you want. If you want to know more about emulsifiers, I do recommend watching this video here. Btms 50 is an emulsifier, so it is important to understand what emulsifiers are. Basically, watching all of the formulating for beginners content first will make it a lot easier for you to understand what's going on in this video if you are a beginner. This video couldn't be possible without the help of Natural Bulk Supplies. So thank you so much, Natural Bulk Supplies, for supplying all the ingredients that I'm using in this video. Natural Bulk Supplies is a supplier of high quality ingredients used to make personal care products and cosmetics, which is exactly what I do here on this channel. And if you've ever been on their website, then you can clearly see that they have really good prices compared to a lot of other suppliers. And I've noticed that they're constantly adding new ingredients on their website. So if there is ingredients that they don't offer at this time, they're probably going to end up with it in the future. I just keep seeing new and new ingredients every time I go on there. So thank you so much, Natural Bulk Supplies, for supplying all the ingredients in this video. And if you want to recreate any of the recipes I make in this video, make sure you use my links in the description box, which will take you directly to Natural Bulk Supplies so you can buy all the materials. Btms 50 is an all-in-one emulsifier. It is also a cationic surfactant. This means that it is used to blend oil and water together to create this creamy lotion-like consistency. And since it is cationic, that means it adds conditioning benefits. So since Btms 50 is conditioning and it's an emulsifier, that means it's perfect for making hair conditioners. You can make conditioner bars, liquid conditioner, spray leave-in conditioner, or a leave-in conditioner cream. You can make hair masks, deep conditioning hair masks, and so much more. So not only can you make all these hair conditioning products with Btms 50, you can also make shaving products, because in my opinion, I think it's really important to have a cationic surfactant in your shaving products. It just makes a much more pleasant shaving experience. So you can make shaving bars, shaving liquids, or any other type of shaving product you want to make with Btms 50 as the main ingredients. You can use Btms 50 in your body butters, whether it's an emulsified body butter or a body butter that is anhydrous, which means it only contains oil-soluble ingredients. And you can use Btms 50 to make sugar scrubs. So it has so many different uses. And this is exactly why I think it's perfect for those of you who are just starting out, who are on a budget. Get Btms 50 and you can make hair conditioners, shaving products, and lotions right off the bat. There is just one thing you want to keep in mind when formulating with Btms 50, because it is really, really important. Since Btms 50 is cationic, you cannot use it with anything that is anionic. So other than that, have fun formulating and let's get into all the recipes. First up, I'm making a shaving bar that doubles as a conditioner bar. I'm creating a 400 gram batch, and this ended up making 5 bars, which will last you quite some time. And of course, I'm starting with phase A. Make sure it's a heat-safe container and combine 100 grams of Btms 50, followed by 120 grams of cetyl or cetyl alcohol, then 40 grams of shea butter or any other butter of choice, 40 grams of aloe butter or whatever butter you want to use, 40 grams of coconut oil, and then lastly, 59.2 grams of rice bran oil. You can use a different oil if you would like. And then go ahead and take all of that and put it in a water bath. A water bath, you just want to take a pan, fill it with enough water to cover at least half of the container, and then cover it with some foil. So as you can see, I ended up changing the pot it was in because that pot was too shallow. I put it in a much deeper pot, put in a lot more water. I made sure it covered at least half of the container to make sure it all melted down. And you want to come back periodically and mix it to help melt everything. And once everything is nice and liquidy, you can remove it from heat and we can move on to phase B. Phase B is just vitamin E. I added in 0.8 grams of it, and you want to add it in while it's still hot because you don't want to let this solidify at all. Mix that in, and then you can go ahead and pour it into your molds. You can use whatever mold molding that works for you. I just use these little molds that look like soap. And I'll make sure I link down below to where I got these molds. And then you just want to let it sit overnight, and the next day they just pop right out. They're super easy to take out. And you can immediately go ahead and use these as shaving bars or as conditioner bars. In order to use it as a shaving bar, just wet down your skin and massage the bar into the skin. And yeah, you just shave like normal. I love using a shaving bar. This is like my go-to product I use regularly to shave. And this also doubles as a conditioner bar. And normally I use my conditioner bars as my shaving bars. So this is just like a regular thing I do. So let's move on to the liquid conditioner in case you prefer that. And what's so special about this one is it has menthol in it. So it's really, really refreshing on the scalp. And I think it's great for those hot summer evenings after coming in from like working outside or something. You will love it. Again, we're gonna start with phase A. We're making a 600 gram batch. And again, make sure you have a heat safe container. We're gonna start with 421.8 grams of distilled water, 30 grams of glycerin. You can use propanediol instead, and then 12 grams of polyquaternium 7. This is a cationic surfactant, and this is what's going to be helping condition the hair. And this is basically what separates it from being a body lotion. Now, set that to the side and grab another container that's heat safe for phase B. Add 30 grams of Btms 50, 12 grams of cetyl alcohol, or you can use cetyl alcohol, 18 grams of coconut oil, but you can use a different oil here if you would like, 18 grams of almond oil. Again, you can use a different oil if you prefer. And then here are the menthol crystals. I love these. I don't know, they're just crystals. They're so pretty looking. They smell so good. And I love the way they sound in the package. And I added in 6 grams of them. So what you want to do next is actually grab your scale and place your phase A on the scale and weigh it. And write down how much it weighs, because we're going to be heating this up and some of the water is going to evaporate and we need to replace that after heating it up. So cover both phase A and B with some foil, and then fill your pan with like an inch or so of water, put it on medium heat, and let them heat until everything is melted. And while those are heating up, we're gonna work on phase C. So for phase C, we're gonna start with some distilled water. I'm using 5% distilled water to help dissolve the D-L-panthenol. And since we're making a 600 gram batch, that ends up being 30 grams of distilled water. And then I'm adding in 12 grams of the D-L-panthenol to the distilled water and then mixing it together. And you want to keep mixing until the D-L-panthenol has fully dissolved. D-L-panthenol dissolves super easily, so you shouldn't have any issues here. Once that's all dissolved, you can add in 9 grams of Optifin Plus, and this is the preservative. You cannot skip this ingredient. And then lastly, we're going to do 1.2 grams of vitamin E. And there you go. You'll see the vitamin E floating on top because it is oil soluble. Just set that to the side. And then once phase A and B are done being heated, you want to remove phase A, which is the water phase, first. Place it on your scale. Make sure you remove the foil and weigh it and add back in any distilled water that evaporated. And then you can go and remove phase B from the heat, remove the foil, pour phase A, which is the water phase, into phase B, which is the oil phase. And then you can grab your immersion blender and mix. And you want to be careful, this can splash everywhere, so just press the button just for a couple seconds. And you want to make sure you're using a big enough container as well, or else it's going to splash everywhere. And you just want to come back periodically and mix it until it's thickened. And once it has thickened and reached like 100 degrees Fahrenheit, you can add in those phase C ingredients. Just pour all those in and mix it in until it's all incorporated. And once your conditioner has returned to room temperature, you can cover it with some plastic wrap and then let it sit overnight to reach its full viscosity, because you need to let it sit overnight whenever you make emulsions, because sometimes it'll thicken up. So let it sit overnight. So here we are back the next day. It has thickened up a bit more, and I'm going to actually check the pH. If you don't know how to check and adjust pH, I do recommend watching my video all about pH, because it is way too much information to cover here. Take a little bit of your conditioner, pour it into a small beaker, and then place in your pH meter. And the natural pH of your hair is somewhere between 4.5 to 5.5 anyways. So that is preferably where we want our products to be. But since it's just a little bit under 4.5, it's totally fine. So in order to bottle up this product, what I like to do is actually take a piping bag. I place the piping bag in a 1000 milliliter beaker, and then I just pour all the hair conditioner into the piping bag, and I cut off the tip of the piping bag and then just squeeze it all into the bottles. That's how I do it. And the 600-gram batch ended up filling 2 8-ounce bottles, and then I had just a little bit left over. So this conditioner is thin enough to be pumped out of a pump bottle. You could put it in a jar if you prefer, but I recommend using a scoop to scoop it out so you're not contaminating it with your hands, especially if you're using it in the shower where everything is wet. I don't recommend using a jar, but if you're being careful and not getting water in it, that's fine. So now let's move on to the Soothing Aloe Body Lotion I made. Once again, I'm gonna make a 600-gram batch of this lotion. We're starting with phase A. Make sure you have a heat-safe container. And I'm gonna add in 424.8 grams of distilled water, followed by 30 grams of propanediol. You could use glycerin instead. And then 3 grams of allantoin. This is a soothing ingredient, so if you don't have it, you don't need to use it, but this will help soothe the skin. And then set phase A to the side. Grab another beaker for phase B, add in 24 grams of Btms 50, 12 grams of cetyl alcohol or cetyl alcohol if you want to use that instead, 42 grams of jojoba oil or whatever oil you want to use instead, and then lastly 18 grams of aloe butter. And then there you go, you're done with phase B. But don't forget, we got to go back and weigh phase A because we're going to be heating this up and some of the water is going to evaporate. So don't forget to do that every time you do emulsions that get heated. And once again, we're going to cover both phases with some foil, place in a water bath filled with a little bit of water, put it on medium heat, and let it heat until everything's melted. You will have to come back periodically and mix phase A to help dissolve the allantoin because allantoin is a little bit finicky to dissolve. So moving on to phase C, we're going to start with distilled water again because we need to dissolve that D-L-Panthenol. That's the whole reason we have 5% distilled water in phase C. So I have 30 grams of distilled water in this beaker, and I'm going to add in 12 grams of D-L-Panthenol and mix that in until it's fully dissolved. Now we can add our 9 grams of Optifin Plus, which is the preservative, and then lastly 1.2 grams of vitamin E. And vitamin E is an antioxidant. I recommend adding it into any products that has oils. And of course, you want to check back on your phase A and B that's being heated, mix it to help dissolve the allantoin, and you might have to mix the phase B, the Btms 50 as well, because Btms 50, it does struggle a little bit melting. Sometimes you got to mix it to help melt it. And then of course, after those are both done being heated, grab the phase A, weigh that, and add back in any distilled water that evaporated. Now we can remove phase B from heat and then pour the phase A in the phase B and mix with an immersion blender. Again, be careful while mixing. You don't want it to splash everywhere. Then you just want to let it cool. You can come back and mix it periodically with the immersion blender, but once it starts to thicken, don't mix it again. Once it's around 100 degrees Fahrenheit, you can pour in those phase C ingredients, mix those in, and then let it cool fully to room temperature before covering with plastic wrap and then let it sit overnight. The next day we can come back and take the pH. And again, if you want to learn more about pH, I have a video all about that. The natural pH is a little bit lower, it's 4.24, but again, I'm not worried about raising it because it's not too acidic, so I'm not worried about it. So I'm just going to keep it there. And again, in order to bottle this up, I'm pouring it into a piping bag, squeezing it into my bottles. I filled up 2 8-ounce bottles and then I had some lotion left over. So with this lotion, the littlest amount goes such a long way. So you only need the tiniest amount, and you will notice there's a bit of rub-in time, but if you're only using a small amount, it shouldn't be too much of an issue. I noticed I really love using Btms 50 in body lotions because of its conditioning benefits. So let me know what your favorite emulsifier is to use in lotions. The last product I'm going to show you guys how to make is the spray leave-in conditioner. Just a couple spritz of this stuff into damp hair will make it so much easier to comb through. So I'm going to make a 200-gram batch. Of course, I'm starting with phase A, and I need a heat-safe container. I'm going to add in 171.6 grams of distilled water, 2 grams of polyquaternium 7. This is a cationic surfactant, which will help condition the hair. And then 4 grams of glycerin, and this is humectant, so it'll help hydrate the hair. You could use propanediol instead.
Sorry, I meant 6 grams of glycerin. I don't know why I said 4.
So that's it for phase A. Set that to the side, grab another beaker for phase B. And I'm gonna add in 2 grams of Btms 50. I'm only using at 1%. You could use up to 2%, but any more than that, I think it'll make it too thick to spray out of a spray bottle. And then I'm gonna add in 4 grams of almond oil, but you could use whatever oil you want here. Then of course you wanna go back to phase A, place it on your scale and write down how much it weighs, because again, we're gonna be heating this up and some of the water is gonna evaporate. Most of you guys are gonna know the drill by now. Cover both of these beakers with some foil, place in a water bath, and let it heat up until everything in phase B has melted. So while those are heating, we can work on phase C. And again, we're gonna start with some distilled water in this beaker. I have 10 grams in here to help dissolve the 2 grams of D-L-panthenol. Mix that in until it dissolves, and then you can add in 2 grams of Optifin Plus, which is the preservative, and 0.4 grams of vitamin E. Now set phase C to the side, go back to your phase A and B. First remove phase A, weigh that, add back in any water that evaporated, and this time instead of removing phase B, leave it in the water bath and pour the phase A directly in there while it's still in the water bath. Hand mix it and then remove it from the water bath and then mix it with the immersion blender. But once it reaches around 100 degrees Fahrenheit, you can pour in the phase C ingredients and you can hand mix, or you could actually mix with the immersion blender again since it doesn't thicken. Now, once it's returned to room temperature, you can cover it and bottle it up tomorrow, or you can just go ahead and pour it into your bottles now. And then the next day I came back and checked the pH. Again, if you want to learn how to check and adjust pH, I have a video all about that. I'll link it down below. And the natural pH of this leave-in conditioner is 4.42, which is totally fine. So I'm just gonna leave it there. And I'm pouring the leave-in conditioner in these 2-ounce spray bottles. I'll link down below to some similar bottles along with all the other containers I used in this video. And if there's different type of packaging that you prefer for this product, you could totally use that instead. The spray bottles that I have, when you spray it, it kind of comes out in a straight line. So when you apply this, you can either spray it directly on your hair, or you can spray the leave-in conditioner directly into your hand, massage it into your hair that way, whichever you prefer. Or if you want to increase the percentage of Btms 50 in this formula, you totally can, and then it'll end up being like a thick cream that you could put in a jar and then apply to your hair that way if you want a higher concentration of Btms 50 in your leave-in conditioner. Now my hair type, it's just too thin and fine for that heavy of a leave-in conditioner, but I know there's other hair types that would probably love that instead. So give that a try if you want. That's the fun part about formulating, is you can always customize these formulas to suit your skin or your hair type. This video definitely couldn't have been possible without natural bulk supplies. So thank you guys so much for supplying all the ingredients I used in this video. If you guys want to recreate any of the products I made, make sure you use my links in the description box. It'll take you directly to naturalbulksupplies.com so you can purchase the exact ingredient that I use to make all of these products. And yeah, if you guys recreate any of these formulas, let me know how yours turns out in the comments. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you later. Also, don't forget to go over and check out my Patreon, where I post 2 exclusive videos every single month. So there are a ton of videos you can go over there and binge watch for only $5 a month. And for $10 a month, you can get a small business shout out, or maybe you have a YouTube channel. So let's go ahead and shout everybody out. Nature's Farm Girl, thank you so much. Let's Blend, thank you. HempyGirl.com, ShopLevi's.com or ShopLevi's.com. 7th House and Oak on Etsy, at Black Petal Beauty on Instagram, Owl and Lily on Etsy, ZayelaMoore.com, I hope I said that right, EmbraceBeautyEssentials.com, LegendaryBathAndBody.com, at Stardust Bath and Body on Instagram, AstariApothecary.com, Ravika Cosmetics here on YouTube, and naturesmagicllc.com. Go sign up if you want a shout out, or if you just want bonus content. The shout out tier might be full. It's full pretty often because I only have so much space in the description box to link to everybody.